ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends, this is 8th video on Vedas and Upanishads. In this video I am going to discuss about the aspects of Saguna Brahma. When Vedanta speaks of Brahma as the creator, preserver and destroyer, it refers to Saguna, not Nirguna Brahma. That whence these beings are born, that by which when born they live, that into which they enter at death, try to know that. That is Brahma. The creation does not exhaust the whole of Brahma, as we have seen. He is transcendent as well. Some Vedantists associate Sat, reality, Chit, consciousness, and Anandam, bliss, with Saguna Brahma and give him, not Nirguna Brahma, the name of Sat Chit Ananda. With reference to his three activities of creation, preservation, and destruction, Saguna Brahma is known respectively as Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra or Shiva. These form the Trimurti, the Trinity of Hinduism. The influence of Rajas is seen in creation of Sattva in preservation and of Tamas in destruction. Kalidasa, the great Hindu dramatist, writes that which before creation is the non-dual Brahma becomes subject to Maya and assumes in association with the three Upadhis the forms of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Nirguna Brahma, as already remarked, cannot be the object of prayer or meditation, but Saguna Brahma can. By the yogins, he is realized through worship. It is seen by subtle seers through their one-pointed and subtle intellects. A calm person wishing for immortality beholds the inner self with his eyes closed. Many sublime passages are found in the Upanishads and other writings of the Hindu seers describing the glories of Saguna Brahma. Grasping without hands, hasting without feet, he sees without eyes, he hears without ears. He knows what can be known, but no one knows him. They call him the first, the great person. He is the Lord of all, he is the knower of all, he is the controller within, he is the source of all, and he is that from which all things originate and in which they finally disappear. It is the controller of all, the Lord of all, the ruler of all. It does not become better through good work or worse through bad work. He is the fountain of all blessed qualities and the consummation of such divine attributes as power, strength, glory, knowledge, and virility. By a fraction of his power, he upholds all beings. He is the Supreme Lord, greater than the great and free from the least trace of suffering. Everywhere are his eyes, everywhere is his mouth, everywhere are his arms, everywhere his feet. He has endowed man with arms and birds with wings. He is the creator of earth and heaven. He is one and without a second. devoid of senses, yet reflecting the qualities of all the senses. He is the Lord of all and the ruler of all. He is the great refuge of all. He is above the world tree and beyond time. He is the other from whom this world proceeds and around whom it moves. The giver of virtue, the remover of evil, the Lord of powers. Know him in your own self as the immortal abode of all. He who is the supreme Lord of lords, the supreme deity of deities, the supreme ruler of rulers, him let us know as God, adorable and paramount, the Lord of the world. Neither body nor origin is found in him. There is not seen his equal or his superior. His exalted powers are innate and various. They are knowledge, will, and action. Saguna Brahma was later worshipped under various personifications as Shiva, Vishnu, Rama, and so on. The ideal deities, Ishta Devatas of various Hindu sects. In the Upanishads, he is described as Maheswara, the great Lord, and also as Isa, Ishana, and Iswara, all meaning the Lord. Iswara, the Lord. Saguna Brahma is called Iswara because he is all powerful, the Lord of all, the ruler of the entire universe. He, the Lord, the bestower of blessings, the adorable God. He rules over all two-footed and four-footed beings. He rules this world eternally, for no one else is able to rule it, and that prana indeed is the self of the conscious self, Prajnatma, blessed, imperishable, and immortal. He does not increase by a good action, nor does he decrease by a bad action. He indeed makes the man whom he wishes to lead up from these worlds do a good deed, and he makes him whom he wishes to lead down from these worlds do a bad deed. And he is the guardian of the world. He is the king of the world. He is the Lord of the universe, and he is myself. Thus let it be known, Yah, thus let it be known. He is the source of all powers, all created objects, and the all powerful Maya as well are under his control. The non dual Lord of Maya rules alone by his powers. There is one Rudra only. They do not allow a second who rules all the worlds by his powers. He is the supreme ruler of the universe. Under his control, the sun, the moon, and the planets perform their allotted functions. Because of his power, a moral order controls the universe as well as man's life. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Ugargi, the sun and moon are held in their positions. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Ugargi, heaven and earth maintain their positions. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Ugargi, moments, muhurats, days and nights, four fortnights, months, seasons, and years are held in their respective places. Under the mighty rule of this immutable, some rivers flow eastward from the White Mountains, others flowing westward continue in the direction, and still others keep to other courses. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Ogargi, man praise those that give, the gods depends upon the sacrificer, and the means on independent offerings. This Brahma can inspire great terror like a thunderbolt ready to be hurled From terror of him the wind blows, from terror of him the sun rises, from terror of him fire, Indra and death perform their respective duties. He alone is the source of all powers. Wherever one sees a manifestation of power, whether on earth or in heaven, it is all from Brahma. Ajatasattu told the proud Balaki that the power which animates the sun, the moon, lightning, the five elements, and other objects belongs to Brahma, who alone works through them and who alone is to be known. The different gods, the powerful cosmic forces, are his manifestations through Maya. They are entirely dependent upon him. How they become powerless unless sustained by Brahma is described in the third chapter of the Kena Upanishad. Fire, we read there, is unable to burn a wisp of straw, and the wind unable to blow it without the consent of Brahma. Two things are implied when it is declared that Brahma is the ruler of the universe. First, he maintains all things in their proper places and prevents them from clashing with one another. This is the sense in which Brahma is compared to a setu, a dike which separates one body of water from another. Second, as the ruler of the universe, he guides the activities of all things. He is therefore called Antaryami, the inner ruler. He is the Lord of all. He is the knower of all. He is the controller within. The sun, moon, and stars follow his behest, and the gods bow before his power. For Brahma is the inner ruler of all things. Brahma as Antaryami has been elaborately described in the seventh section of the third chapter of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. He who inhabits the earth but is within it, whom the earth does not know, whose body is the earth, who controls the earth from within, is the internal ruler, your own immortal self. What is true of the earth is also true, as one learns from the continued repetition of the same formula of water, fire, the atmosphere, the wind, the sky, the sun, and other objects. All these are bodies of Brahma who dwells within them but is distinct from them, whom they do not know and yet who rules them all from within. It is the power of Brahma which is behind the activities of gods, of man, and of nature. All reflect his glory. Their very life is but the throb of that eternal life. This self is the ruler of all beings and the king of all beings. Brahma as Vidhata, providence. The seers of the Upanishads felt the necessity of a personal God as an important factor in man's spiritual development. A man attached to the body and influenced by love and hate cannot meditate on the impersonal absolute for his benefit. Therefore, the Upanishads describe Saguna Brahma as the providence who determines the course of the universe. We have already seen that Saguna Brahma is compared to a dike so that these worlds may not be confounded. Day and night do not pass that dike, nor old age, death, and grief. The seer, omniscient, transcendent, and uncreated, he has duly allotted to the eternal world creators their respective duties. The Svetasvatara Upanishad, with its theistic inclination contains many passages depicting this aspect of Brahma, the source of all, who determines the gunas, who bring to maturity whatever can be ripened, and who engages the gunas in their respective functions over the whole world, rules the one watching over all works, dwelling in all things, the one who himself, without color differentiation, by the manifold application of his power, produces at the time of creation many colors according to his hidden purpose, and in whom the whole universe during its continuance subsists and in the end dissolve. He is the Lord. May He endow us with right intellect. Under the supervision of the Lord, good and evil produce their respective results. The Lord alone is the bringer of good and the destroyer of evil. The Kaushitaki Upanishad says, as we have seen, that if the Lord wishes to lead a man up from these worlds, he makes him do a good deed, and that if the Lord wishes to lead him down from these worlds, he makes him do a bad deed. This is not to be confused with the doctrine of predestination. The text only means that no action, good or bad, is possible without the power of the Lord. Brahma is like a light. With the help of it, a good man performs righteous action, an evil man the reverse. But the light is impartial. Though without it no action can be performed, man reaps the result of his own action. He chooses a good or an evil action according to his inner tendencies created by his past works. Brahma is described as the refuge of love, Sanja Varma. All love goes towards him. He is also called the Lord of brightness, for he shines in all worlds. The immanent and the transcendent Brahma. It has already been stated that Brahma, without any external compulsion, assumes the upadhi of Maya and appears as the universe and its creator. Thus, he becomes immanent in the universe from the relative standpoint, even though from the standpoint of pure consciousness, the universe of names and forms does not exist. The Upanishads contain descriptions of both these aspects of Brahma. The immanent Brahma dwells in the universe and is to be sought therein. He wished, may I be many, may I grow forth. Accordingly, he practiced austerity in the form of intense meditation. After he had thus practiced austerity, he created all whatever there is. Having created it, he enters into it. In the beginning, Prajapati, the creator, stood alone. He had no happiness when alone. Through meditation, he brought into existence many creatures. He looked on them and saw they were without understanding, like a lifeless post, like a stone. He had no happiness. He thought, I shall enter within that they may awake. Making himself like air, he entered within. The Bhagavad Gita says that the Lord uses his lower nature to project material forms, and then through his higher nature enters into them and animates them. We, we read in the Upanishad that having entered the world, he becomes covered by it like a spider by its web. May that non-dual God, who spontaneously covers himself like a spider with the web produced from his Prakriti, grants us entrance into Brahma. The Lord has saturated the universe through and through. This self has entered into these bodies up to the tips of the fingernails, as a razor may be put in its case, or as fire which sustains the world is contained in its source, firewood. He is lost, as it were, in the universe, as when a lump of salt dropped into water dissolved in the water so that no one is able to grasp it. But just as wheresoever one tastes the water, it tastes salt, so also Brahma is to be felt everywhere in the universe as life and consciousness. The Isa Upanishad begins with the exhortation that the whole universe should be covered with the Lord. The Upanishadic passages describing the immanent Brahma show a pantheistic trend of thought. Brahma has become the universe, like milk transformed into curds or clouds into rainwater. But does Brahma exhaust himself in the universe? The text contains passages supporting realism, theism, and pantheism according to the different stages of an aspirant's understanding. But the fundamental thought that runs through the whole body of the Upanishad is the sole reality of Brahma or Atma. Even when the reality of the universe is conceded, the purpose of stressing this reality is to maintain that the manifold world is not different from Brahma, but the reality of the dual universe, independent of Brahma, is denied when it is reiterated that with the knowledge of Brahma, everything is known. What the wise see as the non-dual reality, the unillumined on account of Maya see as the manifold universe. Therefore, though perceived to be immanent, Brahma remains transcendent. It is inside all this and it is outside all this. He moves about having entered all beings. He has become the Lord of all beings. He is the self within and without. Within and without. The Rig Veda states that Brahma covers the whole universe and yet transcends it by the measure of 10 fingers. The same idea is expressed in the Upanishads as well. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord declared that He sustains this universe with only a fraction of Himself. The Katha Upanishad very clearly describes both the immanent and the transcendent aspect of Brahma. As the same non-dual fire, after it has entered the world, becomes different according to whatever it burns, so also the same non-dual Atma dwelling in all beings becomes different according to whatever it enters and it exists into without. And it exists also without. As the same non-dual air, after it has entered the world, becomes different according to whatever it enters, so also the same non-dual Atma dwelling in all beings become different according to whatever it enters, and it exists also without. As the sun, which helps all eyes to see, is not affected by the blemishes of the eyes or of the external things revealed by it, so also the one Atma dwelling in all beings is never contaminated by the misery of the world being outside it. The universe, like a mirage, is falsely superimposed on Brahma, through Maya. Brahma, a homogeneous mass of consciousness, Chaitanya Ghana, is partless yet is described as endowed with parts as it were for the comprehension of beginners. Thus, though immanent in the universe, Brahma remains in a sense transcendent. To him, this vast universe is but a little thing. One beam of his light illumines it, a fraction of his power creates, preserves, and destroys it. The manifestation and non manifestation of the universe proceed from him without any effort whatsoever on his part, like a man's breathing out and breathing in. They are like the breath of this Supreme Self. Brahma, creator, preserver, and destroyer of the universe. This will be the topic of the video number 9. So I end this video here. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar my dear friends.